Hi there. I'm Mary Piasta with Hauser Veluzzo in Piasta, and I'm here to introduce you to some estate planning concepts. But before we get to that, I would invite you to think of images. I would like you to think of an image that would represent your life, and then I would like you to think of another image that would represent your legacy. Now, maybe these images are the same and maybe they're different. And of course, there's no right answer, but if you can hold on to that image while we begin to talk about these concepts. What I want to introduce you to are the legal constructs to support these images that you have for your life and legacy. And for me, this goes back to my days as a child and learning from my grandfather, who was a Swiss German builder. He would take me on tours of his legacy, which was, of course, his family, but it also was represented in the buildings that he helped build in the city. And he would take me on a drive and point out and show me these beautiful things that he worked tirelessly on. He also was a fan of detail. And he would go into houses bringing a marble and roll it on the floor to point out that there was something going on. So as a lawyer and as someone who does estate planning, it is very important for individuals to take these types of building type images to think about the importance of the detailed nature of the way that your legal documents are built to support your legacy. My firm here is an example of a legacy. This firm goes back to the 1800s, and the lawyers from the past had a demonstrated succession plan. And what this means is that I can sit here today and talk to you about estate planning from a position where there has been a lawyer in here to advise clients and heirs about problems as they may be. In this way, this firm has built something beyond the individual who is sitting advising you. It's created something larger. Now, going back to a general estate plan, people first wonder, well, why do you need an estate plan? And this, of course, varies based on the individual situation. For folks with young children, it helps iron out the guardianship process, as well as identifying who those individuals would be instead of going to court to do so. But it also makes more speedy the transition of monies. For folks without kids, the non-estate plan process means going to court to have power put over the person in a conservatorship, or also to have the court marshal the estate through probate. And what that means is that there's a lengthy process that's involved. Us lawyers get paid more money to guide individuals through that process. But really, it does hold up funds in some scenarios and in most for the heirs of the estate. So now that you kind of have those general ideas, I want to talk a little bit about the four main components of a general estate plan. And of course, this is all informational in nature and it's different for everyone. But an estate plan will include four things. One is a will. One is a trust, and then there are the documents that occur for during life, which are the healthcare directive and power of attorney. So during your life, you're going to have documents to identify the individuals you are putting in power. These individuals are folks who you have, who you trust to make decisions with respect to your health in your healthcare directive, or your finances and property in your power of attorney. Now, I could go on and on with examples of what happens if you don't have these, but that's beyond the scope of a quick little video. But the importance of both of these is that these documents work together to effectuate your goals for your life and legacy. Now, at the time of death, there are different documents that are important because now we're no longer talking about healthcare decisions and powers of attorney. Now we're talking about executors and trustees. So a will, in its most basic sense, for some estates, can absolutely do just fine in identifying property, saying who it should go to, as well as identifying guardians for young kids. Then we have the trust. So in California, which is where I sit, in other states, a trust is a vehicle to go beyond what you would do in, say, a bank account beneficiary designation form. A trust is something that is set up to identify who will act in your place like a power of attorney, but also under what scenarios will people get money. So for example, let's start with kids. I have 3 and it's pretty relevant to me, but am I going to want my 10-year-old getting a big old check? No. So for my trust, I'm going to state exactly when and for what the children should get money for to provide for their overall health and welfare. But then at what ages they can get larger bits of financial resources. The trust is also very important from a tax planning point of view for certain estates, as those estates reach the taxable amount, which is like 11 million for individuals, 22 for couples, and that is set to revert in a few years unless it gets further extended. But again, the purpose of this little video is to talk about general concepts and not go into the minutia of more sophisticated estate planning from a tax minimization point of view. So going back to the 4 things, you've got your healthcare directive, your power of attorney for the people you're placing in power during your life, and then you've got your will and your trust for after. And all these can work together in a seamless way to create those images that you have in your mind for your life and legacy. Now, I could give you a little word of warning with respect to online versions of these things, and there are examples upon examples of how utilizing those types of documents will work against solidifying and getting you the wishes that you want to have happen. Sometimes they're not tailored per state. Sometimes they're not done by lawyers. Actually, often they're not. And they don't work together. And when there come difficult decisions, and when, say, for example, the agent on your power of attorney needs to do something that may affect your trust, I mean, you have to have some specific provisions in there to allow them to do so. And so that's the benefit of working with a professional. And I would encourage you to educate yourself and your friends and folks so that they engage in this process now, get it behind them, and they don't have to worry about it later. So that's it for today, your general overview of tools for life and after. And I wish you the very best for now and beyond.